So today I want to talk about my favorite type of jean, which is a World War II jean. Some people are going to be familiar with that, some not. So I wanted to take you through some of the jeans that we've got in the shop, explain why they're special and why some of the features are a little bit different. So during the war, they were rationing. It affected the thread and the denim, but also the copper. So it changes a few features on the jeans, and Levi's had to change those features to meet the quota for rationing. So each of these jeans does it a little bit differently. Some of them are very close reproductions and some are more inspired by. So the first jean I wanted to talk about is the S0105 from Full Count. This is quite a close reproduction. So the first thing is the pocket flash. This is a very, very close replica of what the Levi's 501 pocket flash would have looked like at the time. And then the one thing that all of these jeans are going to have is the fact that they are rivetless. A lot of people refer to these jeans as rivetless. They'll say World War II rivetless or 1944 rivetless or something like that. Obviously the jean still has rivets all over it, but it's the watch pocket. They weren't deemed as essential, so they were taken off. So I wanted to show two features on this jean. The main thing on this one is the pocket. It's quite exaggerated on this. They're all done a little bit differently as they would have been back then, but this one has a lot of runoff at the top. That doesn't match up there. This bit's wonky. You've got that little pink down there. That's quite a common one that people will do. And that is just because everyone who was already experienced making these jeans went off to war. So this is quite exaggerated. Some of them, as I said, aren't like this, but there'll just be some imperfections, and these are all done on purpose. You wouldn't find this on a normal jean. One of my favorite features that you find on these jeans, and you find it on a lot of them as well, is they used a surplus material for the pocket bags. So a lot of the time it will be a flannel like these Full Count ones. Sometimes it will be a herringbone twill or part of a military uniform or something like that. So these are new in the shop. These are the Buzz Rickson Lot 041. This top button of the button fly is a wreath and star. So that is a very common button from the era, and it's one that the government sent out to a lot of manufacturers, and they used that in a lot of their garments back then. So a lot of World War II garments will have these exact buttons. These are called donut buttons because they're punched out in the middle, which saves that little bit more material. And you'll see that then that runs along down here. This one's a little bit different. It has the wreath and star all the way down. A lot of them will just have blank buttons down there. And there's usually a 4-button fly or sometimes a 5-button fly as well. So this is the S1000XX from Warehouse. There wasn't anything specific I wanted to show you on this jean. It's much more about what's missing from this jean. So a lot of jeans beforehand, and all the Levi's 501s used to have a cinch back. So you'd be able to, rather than wearing a belt, you could cinch it in and change the waist there. It also had buttons on the inside for suspenders. Those were taken off too. Most features that they changed went back in 1947. So they went back to regular pocket bags, regular buttons. Obviously the stitching got better again, but this never came back. So this jean is the 1100 EX17 from Full Count. I wanted to show this for one particular reason. It has a painted arcuate. So obviously Levi's were very well known for their stitched arcuate, which changed a little bit over the years in shape, but it's all very, very recognizable. A lot of brands do a different version of it, but that's obviously where it started. They trademarked the arcuate in 1943. And obviously in 1944, when this jean was started, they had to do something about that. They didn't want to just waste their trademark. They couldn't use the thread for that because of the rationing, so they painted it on. So a show we all love here is the Bear, obviously. We love his t-shirt, but they also mention jeans a lot as well. So Kami is selling off some of his old, very, very rare, very special jeans, and he mentions that he has a pair of 1944 rivetless World War II jeans with the painted arcuate on. He said you could sell them for $12.50. If they actually had the painted arcuate still on, they'd be worth a lot more than $12.50. So anything from this era is worth a fortune, but stuff like that is worth a ridiculous amount of money. So this is my favorite jean. It's my absolute favorite jean in the world. It's the jean I'm wearing now. This is the S601XX from Freewheelers. Aside from it being a fantastic jean with amazing denim and just brilliant quality overall, it's a really close reproduction to that 1944, 1945 World War II jean that we've been talking about. But it doesn't go too over the top. It's got obviously the missing rivets and the buttons. It's got everything. This one has an HBT pocket lining. My version has a flannel red lining that you might be able to see there. But it's perfect. So all of these jeans are gonna have a very similar cut. They're all based on obviously the same model. They have a high rise, and by today's standard, it's not a particularly wide leg, but it is known as a wide leg, so it's more of a regular, straight down leg. It's a very flattering fit. Jeans aren't really meant to be flattering, they're workwear, but these fit fantastically and they look really good on.